Record. I'm gonna mute you, and then I'll mute you in a little bit. All right, so we're gonna continue on with this lesson that we started the other day. So we started on Wednesday with place and value and expanded form, and it looked pretty good yesterday and the day before. Just remember, when you do place and value, you need to have two things. You need to have the place, which is words, and the value, which is numbers. I had one person say that they did, let's say that they had this, 1 31/100ths, and the 3 was underlined. They might have said tenths, which is correct, but then they just put 3. 3 is not the value. It has to be 3/10. Okay? So most of you got that right, and that was good. The expanded form was good. You guys don't have to do the one with parentheses and all that. You can just do the simple one. So what we're going to do today is look at short word name, right in standard form, and then the fraction. And these are pretty simple. So if you look at standard form is just putting it in words. So if I give you one like 5 and 32/100ths. So if I give you one like that in word form, and I ask you to put it into standard form, you would say 5, and means a decimal, so I put a decimal, 32/100ths. Okay, so that's all you do. You think, how many spaces am I going to have with hundredths? I'm going to have 2 spaces. And then 32 already fills that up anyway. And then 5 comes before the word and, so it goes into the ones place. And means decimals anytime you see that. So just put a decimal anytime you see the word and. Okay, if I give you one that says 241 and 6 thousandths. Sorry, I'm getting too close to the edge. So look at this one. I see the word and. That's going to be my decimal point. Anything before it needs to go to the left of the decimal. So 241, I'm just going to write that down. Decimal for the word and. Look at 6 thousandths. I know thousandths is going to have 3 lines or 3 spots. 6 thousandths would look like this. 6 with 2 zeros before it. So 241 and 6 thousandths would look like that. So if it helps you, you can put the little dashes when you do it, or just think, okay, 6 thousandths, thousandths has 3 spots. If it's 6 thousandths, the 6 has to go in the thousand spot. Okay. I see 2 people. Dylan.
Kellen joined.
Okay, thank you. Now I gotta find the sheet I had with names. All right, hold on, Addie. I'm gonna come to you. Let me find you. Addie. Oh, there we go. Hold on. I unmuted you, then muted you back, I think. Okay, there you go.
It's fine. It's fine. I figured out my question.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna do a couple more like this with you, and then I'm going to move on. This part I think you guys know, so let me give you one to try. You don't have to write the name out, the words, you can just write the answer. If I gave you one like 131 and 5/10. Okay, write that one out, and then I'm going to show you the answer. 131 and 5/10. So remember, and is going to be your decimal point. So what we are going to do today, I ended up taking your expanded form yesterday as a homework grade instead of classwork, just because it was the first time you had done that for me and I wanted to see how you did. Today is going to be a homework grade 2, and you're just going to do a couple of each one. And you'll do 3 sections. So just make sure you number them correctly when I go to grade it. It makes it a lot easier. You guys are also doing a really good job having your pages really neat, and that really helps me out when I go to grade it, so thank you. Okay. Okay, so if we were going to do this one, I'm going to do it in red so I can show you the answer. 131, you guys know how to write that. And I know that tenths is only going to have 1 space after the decimal, so I'll just put that 5 there. So you get 131.5. Okay, so key to this and a little trick if you are concerned with how many decimal points to put, say tenths. I know tenths only has 1 space after the decimal, so you put it there. Okay, let's do one more of these and then we'll move on. 2 and 14 thousandths. Actually, hold on, change that. Change 14 to 9. 2 and 9 thousandths. Okay, if you wrote that, you should have 2 decimal 0 0 9. Let me show you some other ones I'm not going to give you for homework today, but I do want you to know how to do things like this. So if I gave you 8 plus 0.1 plus, sorry, don't put 0.1, it's just 0.1. 0.1 plus 0.05 plus 0.003. Sometimes they'll give you one in expanded form and want you to put it into standard form. So all you really do there is say, okay, 8 does not have a decimal with it, it's a whole number. So I'm going to put 8, then my decimal. Tenths place is going to be a 1. Hundredths place is going to be a 5. Thousandths place is going to be a 3. So 8 and 153 thousandths. Okay, so I'm not going to give you one like that today, but I do want you to be aware of how to do those. And that one's pretty simple. You just kind of go through the steps of place value and say tenths is 1, hundredths is 5, thousandths is 3. Now remember, if they put nothing, that's a 0. If they skipped a place. Okay, so let's go to short name. Short name is something that you hear a lot when you're talking about people talk about millions and billions, because it's easier to say than saying 5,476,000 or something like that. So this is going to be short name. This is something I'm just going to kind of introduce to you because it's something that is important, but you're not really going to see it a whole lot next year. So if they give you something like 1,200,000, 1,200,000. What they do is they take this 1 and they say 1. I kind of change that comma to a decimal, 1.2 million. So that's the little trick for it. I basically take the first 2 numbers, put a decimal there, and then put whatever the biggest place is, 1.2 million. If I gave you one like 1,500,000, that one would be 1.5 million. So when you hear someone on TV or a movie say that there's 1.5 million of this, and there's 1.5 million people, or he makes $1.5 million or whatever, that's what they mean. Basically, it's just a shorter way to say 1,500,000. So take the first comma, put a little decimal there, and then put whatever the biggest place is. 1.5 million. So let me give you one to try. 1,700,000. Write the short name for that. And then I'm going to show you at the billions. So we're still in millions here, and then I'm going to show you billions in a second. Okay, so for this one, you should have 1.7 million. And that's how you hear people say it. You don't say 1/7 million. That doesn't really roll off the tongue. So 1.7 million. All right, now let me show you a different one. This one's important, so pay attention to this one. If they give you one like this, 3,580,000,000. Ignore that little dot there. That's not supposed to be there. There's still a dot there. Just ignore it. Every time I erase it, it puts a dot. So 3,580,000,000. So what do you do if there's more than just two numbers here? You take this one and say 3 dot, and then I put all the numbers that aren't zero. 3.58, and then it's billions. So I put 3.58 billion. Okay, so if you have more than two numbers there, just put all the numbers that are not zero. So 3.58 billion. So try this one, 5,760,000. This one's the millions, but there's two numbers after the 5 that are not zeros. Addie?
You need one more set of zeros. You have
again?
You have 5,760,000.
Yeah, this one's not billions.
Oh.
Yeah, this one shows I'm pulling from classwork. Well, I'm pulling from stuff that you're not going to do today, but I do want to try. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to take the first number I see, put a dot after it, 76, then the rest are zero, so I just put 76. And it's in the millions to 5,760,000. The short name is 5.76 million. Okay? All right, let's do one more, and then we'll move on to the harder part. Try this one. All right, if you can do this one, you can do any of them. 9,214,000,000. Okay, try that one. 9,214,000,000. Okay, so let's look at that one. 9 comes first, put it down, put a decimal. 214 are not zero, so I'm going to put it down. And it's in the billions place, so I'm going to write billions. Not billions, just billion. 9.214 billion. Okay, so that is a really big number. And we do short name because it's a lot easier to say it and to write it that way. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next part. I see your hand, Tashel. Let me get you real quick. Tashel.
So what happens, are they gonna give us any of them where the number is not zero, like in some of the other zeros in like the back?
No.
So, okay.
Like all these would stay 0. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at the bottom part of I don't think it's on page 270. I think it's on just page 271. So if we want to turn a decimal into a fraction. So look at this one. This is one you're going to get. If they give you this one, we know you say it is 5/10, right? So 5 is the number I have out of 10 because tenths is the place. So the place goes on the bottom. So this is the tenths, so I put that on the bottom of the fraction. Whatever this number is goes on top. But then there's always the one thing that you guys hate doing with fractions is it has to be simplified. And you'll see in the directions, write it in simplest form. So if we're simplifying this fraction, we can divide both of them by 5 and get 1/2. Okay? So 5/10 is equal to 1/2. Remember when we did equivalent fractions a while ago? It's probably after Christmas, right in January we did that. So it means the same thing. So 5/10 and 1/2 means the same thing. If I said that you could have a pizza that was in 10 slices and you got 5/10 of it, that means you get half of pizza. Okay, so if you see one like that, that's what you do. So let me show you another one. If you were to write 0.25, that's 25 hundredths. Okay, so I know it's hundredths, so I'm going to put 100 on the bottom of the fraction. And I know that 25 goes on top. Okay, so then all you have to do is reduce. If I divide 25 by 25 and 100 by 25, 25 divided by 25 is 1. 100 divided by 25 is 4. 1/4. So that tells you that 25 hundredths is equal to 1/4. And you see that a lot when you see something that says 1/4 of something. You'll see 25 hundredths or 1/4. Those are ones that you'll see a lot. Give me a second and let me try this one out real quick with the reducing before I give it to you. Just to make sure I don't tell you anything wrong. Okay, let's do this one. I'm going to show you this one. And if you have a question, let me see if this one helps you understand it a little better. If they give you one like 12 hundredths, okay? It's in the hundredths spot, so I put 100 on the bottom. This number 12 goes on top. If you leave that, it's wrong. It has to be reduced. So I can divide both of these by 4. 12 divided by 4 and 100 divided by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 100 divided by 4 is 25. You get 3/25. Okay? So all you have to remember is what place it's in, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. It's not going to go any beyond thousandths. And then putting this number right here on top and reducing. So if you are one who forgets to reduce, make a big old sign at the top that says reduce. You have to reduce. And unfortunately, this one doesn't let us cross reduce, which is my favorite and makes it easier. So give me just a second to get this question, then I'm going to give you one to practice. Addie?
So are we going to have any of these today?
Yes, you'll have a couple today.
Wait, but so are we going to have At least, wait, so like maybe like 4 or 5 of each of these?
I'm not sure what I put down. At the end of class, I'll go through and tell you.
Okay.
Okay. It's already on Shobi, but I haven't unlocked it yet. All right, try this one. 0.6, 6/10. Try that one and remember you have to reduce. Okay, so let's look at it. It's in the 10th spot. 10 goes on the bottom. 6 goes on the top. I can divide both of those by 2 to reduce. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 3/5. Okay? I'm going to give you another one to try. I'm going to do this one in red, but leave this one up too. I'm going to give you a harder one. See if you can do this one. 18 thousandths. This one's not going to be hard to make, but you have to reduce it. I'm going to go ahead and give you a hint that you can reduce by 2 to make it easier for some of you. You can reduce by 2 on this one after you make it into the fraction. So it is going to be a bigger fraction on this one. After we do this, I do want to talk to you guys kind of about what we're going to do for the rest of the year, and then we'll talk about science for a minute. I messed up, of course, on this science notes like I always do. If you've seen my note already on the assignment, you know what it is, and if not, I'll tell you in a second. All right, so let's do this one. It's in the thousandths place. So 1,000 is going to be the bottom denominator of my fraction. 18 is going to go on top. I already told you reduce by 2 on this one. So 18 divided by 2 is 9. 1,000 divided by 2 is 500. So 9 over 500. Okay? If you did that one fine, you'll do the rest fine. The easier ones are the ones you're getting today. And this is a homework grade. So if you completely bomb it, then don't freak out and think you're going to fail 5th grade. It's fine. It's just a homework grade. But obviously, you need to do your best so I can see that you understand. Okay, so let me talk to you about some dojo posts I made last night. If you've seen it already or your parents told you, then you kind of know where I'm going. Let me write it down for you. Let's talk about math first. You're going to have a math test on May 15th, which is a week from today. It's just going to be on what we've done so far with decimals and adding and subtracting decimals, which we'll do next week. So you're going to have a math test on 5/15. Our last Zoom will be Wednesday the 13th, okay? We don't have Zooms on the day you have tests since you have more time to do a test that way. So our last Zoom will be next Wednesday on the 13th. So what we're going to do is finish out math with these decimals, have a test next Friday, and we'll be done. For science, you're going to have a science vocab test Tuesday the 12th. That's this coming Tuesday, and it's on the words you did yesterday. So start studying those words you did yesterday. They're the weather words. Then you're going to have an open book test on the 15th. Now for this, we're not going to have time to really go through the science chapter like we normally would. I'm going to give you an open book test on the 15th just to kind of end it. I'm only going to give you the vocabulary and multiple choice parts of this test, so it's going to be super, super simple. You can use your book, you can use your notes, you can use your homework, you can use anything on that test, okay? So it's honestly not even like a real test. It's really just a worksheet, pretty much. So 2 science tests coming up and a math test next week, and that'll end it for us. After that, we'll be done. Now, the next week, I am going to have stuff on Shobi. It's not just a freebie week. It's not going to be graded, but I still want to have you on there to do some stuff. So we didn't have standardized testing this year, so I didn't really get to see, how you're doing with your math. I'm going to give you a little math review kind of on stuff we've done, just a multiple choice review just to see how you're doing and how much you remember. It is not a grade. It doesn't count towards anything. I just want to see how you guys are doing with your math and how much you remember and kind of where you need to start next year with Mr. Robbie. So that kind of tells me what he needs to review starting in 6th grade. So we'll do that. I'm going to try to have some science experiments that you can do at home, some fun riddle things that you guys like, your little math puzzle things. Try to find those logic puzzles you like, stuff like that, just to kind of get your brain moving. We still don't know, we should know Monday about book drop-off that following week, which will be, I think, the 22nd. If you guys can come, that would be awesome, just so I can see you guys. You will have to clean out your locker and your desk and all that stuff. And if you have library books, please bring those back. Miss Birch went through and she found some in her room that she already took. So if you had one that was left in the classroom, she already got those. But if you have any at home, bring them back then, or if there's a book drop-off outside the main office that you can turn it in, but just bring anything then. And I'll make a list for you of everything you need to bring back, and I'll post it when we get closer to it. So we have one more full week of learning and all that stuff, and then we have like a half a week. That's the last final thing that we're getting report cards ready and all that stuff. I do want to mention missing work to you guys. It is becoming a little bit out of hand. I'm going to go through, I know you can't see Teacheries because it's closed right now. I'm going to go through tonight or tomorrow and send out missing work to your parents on Dojo. If I don't talk to your parents, then you're good. Okay, so if your parents don't get any messages from me, then you don't have anything missing. You guys are not too bad with the missing work, but some of you have some that you need to get caught up on. And I think a lot of it is like, if you and I message back and forth and you see the red circle, sometimes you think you've already done the assignment, but really it's just me and you talking. So I'm going to go through and let you guys know of anything. And always check on Shobi to make sure that you've done everything you need to do. Make sure that I've graded every assignment. If I haven't graded it, I haven't seen it. And I'm not talking about stuff you're doing today, obviously. I'm talking about stuff that's old. I grade everything starting at about 4 o'clock, and then I go through missing work and all that. So just help me out and get all that stuff done. We're almost there. We got one more full week, and then we're pretty much done. So I need you guys to make sure that you're not going to end up with an incomplete report card for missing work. You need to get your stuff in. Grades are looking good. Everybody's doing great, so I'm not worried too much about that. So that's how the end of the year is going to play out. Let's look at science real quick, and then I'll let you guys go. Turn to, give me a second. I wish this was not the one we're ending on, but it is what it is, I guess. Get to C64. Let's look at C64, and then after that, I'll take the questions you guys have, okay? If you need to write it down, just jot it down real quick before I call on you so you don't forget. So what you're doing today are the notes for this. Let me pull up and show you where I messed up on this. So if I go 5th grade science, you have the notes due today. If you go to the second page, right here, I should not have put weather. It's supposed to be changing barometer readings can be used to predict changes in weather, but I wrote the word weather instead. So you can just skip that one on Roman numeral 3E. Just skip it. If you want to write weather in there, you can write weather in there, but I got going too quickly and just made a mistake. You guys know I do that often anyway, so it's fine. So just skip that portion of it. Make sure that you pay attention to that when you go do it, because it won't turn out right. I got 2 of you who called it this morning for me, so thank you. So look at your book. Where weather occurs. Almost all weather occurs in the lowest layer of air or atmosphere that surrounds Earth. We spent a whole lot of time on this last year, and we learned about all the layers of the atmosphere. They just want you to know, I think, 2 here, the troposphere, which is where we live and where the clouds form and weather forms, and then the stratosphere, which is the next layer above where we are now. There's no water and not a whole lot of air that's making any weather there, so the weather occurs in troposphere. If you move on to C65, this is where they tell you how to measure weather. This is where, on your notes, it starts right here. Do that one in pink, maybe. Right here on Roman numeral 2, a blank measures temperature, a blank measures air pressure. That's where you're going to find it at the top of page C65. So look at that. A thermometer measures air temperature. A barometer measures air pressure. A rain gauge measures precipitation. A hygrometer measures humidity. And a wind vane shows direction. And an anemometer shows wind speed. Okay, so know the difference between a wind vane and I can't talk today. Anemometer. An anemometer tells us how fast the wind goes, but a wind vane is those things that spin around and they show us what direction it's going. If you've ever seen those things on top of barns and they're like chickens and they have like the little compass on top and they spin, that's kind of what a wind vane is. It shows you the direction, and the picture they have here shows you. Air pressure, you need to know that that is the weight of the air, so how much pressure the air is putting on Earth. Humidity is how much moisture is in the air. So you know, like when it's summertime and it feels really wet outside and hot and you're sweaty, that's humid air that's really wet feeling. Warm air holds more water. That's why warm air is more humid. That's why in the summer in South Carolina, it's always really humid. Precipitation, you guys know what that is. That's just rain, hail, snow, sleet, any kind of water that's coming out of the sky. All right, flip on over to air pressure. This is the one I told you that can be really confusing if we look at it. Look at it with me on this side of page C66. You probably don't feel the atmosphere weighing you down, but air does have weight. The atmosphere pushes on you all the time, and this weight is air pressure. There are several types of barometers for measuring air pressure. A Mercury barometer, like the one shown at the right, consists of a glass tube about 3 feet long. Air is removed from the top of the tube, and the glass is sealed at the top. Then the tube is turned upside down, and the opened end is placed in a dish of mercury. The weight of the air pushing down on the mercury in the dish pushes mercury up into the glass tube. The mercury rises in the tube until its weight exactly balances the weight of the air pushing down on the mercury in the dish. The height of the mercury in the tube is the measure of air pressure. The measure is compared to a standard or average air pressure of about 76 centimeters or 30 inches of mercury. You don't need to know all about how that works. Basically, it's a tube, and they take all the air they can out, they seal it and turn it upside down, they put it in a dish of mercury, which is red liquid, and the weight pushing down forces the mercury to come up, and that's what tells us the air pressure. So an average is about 30 inches, so it can go higher or lower depending on the weather that day. Go on to the next page. It briefly tells you about the water cycle. You guys know all of that: condensation, evaporation, precipitation. And then if you turn the page, it gives you an overview of the clouds. We did this last year too. Cumulonimbus clouds are the ones that are the really big, tall ones you see when thunderstorms are coming. Cirrus clouds are wispy ice crystals that are super high in the atmosphere. Cumulus clouds are the nice little puffy clouds you see on a clear day, and they can bring light rain. Stratus clouds are the ones, they really look similar to cirrus, but they're kind of smaller, I think. Some of them can produce rain or snow, but stratus just means a layer, and it's a really small layer of clouds. And then that's it. So next week we'll go into what causes weather and climate, and then we'll take your open book test and be done, okay? So that's it. I know I'll give you a lot of info today. If you need to rewatch this video, you can. Dojo has a lot of information for you too, okay? So be looking this weekend for me to tell you any missing work that you have, and please get that done. So I'm going to go right now and tell you your math and unlock it with you. So 5th grade math. Today you're going to be doing page 271, 16 through 19, 24 to 27, 34 to 36. On 16 through 19, write the short word name. On 24 to 27, that's where you just write the numbers. And the last one, write the fraction in simplest form. So you don't even have 5 of each. You have 3 or 4 of each. So it shouldn't be too bad for you today. Just make sure you number it for me, make it a little bit easier for me to read. So I'm going to unlock that for you, and now it's done. So it's open for you to go through and start on this. I'm going to unmute you if you have any questions, and if you don't, you guys are free to go.
Miss Clark,
Bye.
Bye.
if you go to the next.
Bye.
Well, I can't hear you, Jaden. Get closer to your computer.
I said, go to like 6th grade or not.
Say it again. I can't hear you.
What determines
Okay.
if you go to 6th grade or not? Like your class year?
If you're during the coronavirus times.
If you're doing your work and you're not slacking off and having a million absences, which you're not, so you're good.
Miss Clark. So I'm going to 6th grade?
As far as I know, nobody's staying back in 5th grade. I think you're all good.
Miss Clark.
Behind you. Hazel.
Wait, even the people who aren't coming to Zoom class and stuff?
Well, they're still turning in work, so.
Well, so for how on the sentence that you like circled the things, we can't erase that. So how do we,
I didn't. Is it on there still?
Yeah, it
I'll go
is.
through. I didn't know that it would stay on there. Oh yeah, I did. I'm stupid. Hold on, let me go back. Erase. Erase. Hopefully that doesn't erase your work. It's mine. Okay. Emmy, did you have a question? Thank you.
Yeah.
Kate. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. So is our last day of school still the 21st? Because Miss Browder said she wasn't giving us any more work after next week.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. You won't have any graded work, but you're still going to have some stuff we want you to do. And we talked about that yesterday, so Ms. Browder should know now to give you some stuff. It's just going to kind of be reviewing stuff and kind of talking about her summer and stuff like that.
Okay, because yesterday during our Zoom class, she was like, "Yeah, oh, I don't know about the rest of you teachers, but I'm not giving y'all any work after next week." So,
Well, you'll have some stuff for me. It won't be graded. Some of it will be fun stuff. But I do want to do the math for.
okay, thank you. Bye.
No problem. Bye. Anybody else have questions?
Bye.
Cute dog, Dylan. Cute pup.